For In the News TV Daily, according to the reports to this transcript, the Marathon store cameras were not recording during the incident. You gotta hear exactly what happened on March 31st. I summarized the whole grand jury transcripts into one video. Today we go into detail on what the grand jury and neighborhood NIP transcripts had to say and what makes sense and doesn't make sense in the paperwork. You're going to find out about everything that happened March 31st with S-Cuz. Please take the time and the efforts to like the video and press the subscribe button. Make sure you like this video. Like I said, all of the Ermis Amsterdam videos are not being compensated. You can ask all the YouTubers around. They're not paying us. So make sure you thumbs up the video. Let's get this video to 10,000 likes. And that'll be good enough for me. I appreciate it. It took me around 2 to 3 days to put all this information together. So without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm in the news with it.
That way it comes straight to your phone. You don't have to look around. And it's in the description link and at the end of the video, plus the first comment. Alright, to start it off with the witnesses in the case, we have number 1, Herman Douglas, also known to the community as Cowboy. Number 2, Kerry Lathan, the older guy who was just released in October of 2018. He was hit while standing directly in front of Hustle during the conversation. We have Shermy, who actually is the nephew of Kerry Lathan. He is also the driver of the black Escalade that pulled up to the Marathon store that was seen on camera. We have Officer Guerrero, the first responding officer to the incident, to the store after the incident. We have witness number 1, who is the driver who will remain anonymous. She is the friend to S-Cuz, aka Eric Holder, and the person who drove him from Long Beach to the store that Sunday. Keep in mind, Long Beach to LA during traffic is around 30 to 45 minutes, so she definitely played a key part in this case. We have Mr. Timerson, Zaragoza, Scott Turbert, Cliff Rose, Ryan Souls, George Morris, Cedric Washington, Michael Ramez, and the man who examined Ermis's body after his passing. So the case currently has 27 grand jury representatives, and throughout the witnesses' testimonies, the grand jury's reps have access to ask the questions to the witnesses after their testimony. During the opening statements for this case, John McKinney, the district attorney, introduced himself and dove into the 2-day process. They go off and they start off the process by introducing Hustle and his history in the Rolling 60s. Or the case explains a shift in his reality and with professional with rap and with business. Then they introduce Eric Holder, basically with the same upbringing as Ermis, but wasn't so successful as a rapper. Here's officially what happened on paper as far as what they say happened. So on that Sunday, the 31st of March, E is shown on tape arriving to the Marathon store just a little bit after 3 p.m. They are charging Holder with the passing of young C-Note, Ermis, and hitting Kerry Lathan and Shermy, his nephew, like I said. He got out of his vehicle and started to greet people in the parking lot, and he stayed in the parking lot for the entire time he was up there until the incident happened. During that time, he signed autographs, took pictures with fans, he talked to his friends. Some of his friends was fellow Rolling 60s members, and they claimed nothing really unusual or eventful occurred that Sunday. They say Holder showed up and didn't know Mr. Hustle was going to be there that day. He actually came to the parking lot from another city. He was driven by witness that I was telling you guys about. When Eric Holder got out the car, he immediately walked to the group where Mr. Amsterdam was and had a conversation between the two. The conversation is very important because that conversation had something to do with Hustle accusing Holder for snitching, and as you know, in our society, snitching is a no-no. The conversation wasn't particularly intense and it wasn't particularly belligerent. The actual conversation lasted for around 4 minutes. Eric eventually got his food and got back in the car with witness 1, and they left the scene. After leaving the lot, Eric pulled out his black 9 and witness asked Eric to put his 9 up, so he did. It would hit her or some reason hit someone else, so she was very concerned about that. He then told her to pull near the strip mall. Leading up to the event, Holder is seen on camera at the Marathon store with his shirt off, or actually the Master Burger with his shirt off, but he put his shirt back on while the two pulled into the alley to wait there. He got out of the car and told witness number 1 to wait here and not to leave. Witness 1 claimed that she had no idea what Eric Holder was about to do. So apparently Holder had 2 things on him. One was a semi-automatic, which leaves behind casings at the scene, and the other one doesn't leave casing at all. The shells go straight through the object or its targets. After the incident, Holder jumped in the car and instructed her to drive away. She asked what happened. He told her to drive or he would slap her. She was confused, but she took Holder to his cousin's house that's about 30 minutes away from the scene. That same night, Holder called witness number 1 to spend the night with her, and in the morning he paid for a hotel room at the Motel 6 where she actually showed her ID, so that was the only reason he needed her. He didn't have an ID, or he didn't want to show his ID because of course he did that to Hermes. 2 days after, she turned herself into the LA authorities where she performed a 4-hour interview. She allowed the interviewers to search her car, her phone, and her mother's home. She cooperated with the investigation in every way. Investigators went out and served a search warrant on the target's home and relatives, but they couldn't find any evidence that was used in the incident. Witness number 1 and Carrie Lathan were given immunity for the statements today. To use an immunity is basically a promise saying that if they keep their testimony straight and there are not any lies in the testimony, they won't be used against them later on in court. Next up, we have Herman Douglas, also known as Cowboy. Cowboy explained during his testimony that him and Hustle met back in 2003, and their relationship was overall a good friendship. Sometimes he looked at Hustle as a son, and sometimes he actually looked at Hustle as a father. Cowboy described that Hustle always came to the store around 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. every morning if he was in town. Normally, Hustle would pull up in the parking lot and occasionally get out to talk to fans and people. Douglas said Hermes never came to the location with security, that he was always by himself. Unless there was an event at a store, Cowboy states that he knew Eric, and Eric was one of the homies from the neighborhood. Cowboy says Hustle asked his childhood friend Renpaul that was at the scene, was that Eric Holder pulling into the parking lot. They were both saying that they didn't see him in a long time, and they also say Eric Holder approached the group with his shirt off. Before Holder pulled up, Hustle and Renpaul and Cowboy were talking about the video Higher that they shot a few days before. And Hustle was just talking about how everything was in the studio, was connecting and being connected with his old friend Renpaul. According to Cowboy, Hustle greeted Eric Holder with, "Hey man, where you been, bro?" Holder said he's been gone. "I've been out the way." Hustle replied, "Man, you know they got some paperwork on you. I haven't read it. You know you like my bro. You need to take care of that." So when he told Holder he was basically looking out for him, Holder reply was that it wasn't true and people was always hating on him. That's when Hermes said, "So you know what I'm talking about?" Eric Holder replied like, "Nah, people just hating on me." He finally asked the group had they heard his new song and that he was in the studio. The group replied back like, "Nah, we haven't heard your song collectively." He shook their hands and went back to the car where his girlfriend was waiting. In his testimony, he said Holder had a weird look, but he put it off by him being high. But basically at one point he told Nip, "Come on, let's go in." He says in the parking lot, they really don't hang out too much like that. Cowboy says something in his gut wasn't right about Holder. This is the reason he wanted Hustle to go inside the store. But Hustle continued to sign autographs and take pictures. Cowboy says never in a million years he thought Holder would come back and do what he did. So during his testimony, they show Cowboy and Hustle, or they actually show Hustle taking a picture with witness number 1, also known as the getaway driver. The time stamp was around 1:59:33. Now keep in mind, later on in the testimony, they're saying that the time stamps was actually off, that it was actually around 3 o'clock. So go figure about that. They speak about Carrie and his nephew pulling up to the scene, and then they show Eric Holder in the Master Burger waiting to get his chili cheese fries while he's still shirtless. They say Cowboy actually left the group after an employee at the Master Burger brought him his lunch and he went to the break room. He walked around the counter and got to the break room with his salad, and then he began to hear noises. He started to run to the front. He heard more noise. So when he got to the front door, he seen Hustle on the ground and Holder running. During the video, it shows Cowboy giving some type of first aid to Hustle. During his testimony, he did not admit to seeing Eric Holder do it, but he seen the back of his head running towards Crenshaw Boulevard. He said he seen Nipsey with a hole near his right arm and a hole in his stomach. He said he didn't say anything at all, but he was still breathing and was trying to stay conscious. Then they went on to talk to him about the cameras. They asked Cowboy was he aware of the camera fixings throughout the strip mall. Cowboy says the cameras indeed worked, but they were not recorded. I repeat, they were not recorded. He said all of the cameras in the area were never recorded. they were just live feeds. Even inside the store, they were just live feeds. So now it seems like the only cameras they have for surveillance are the footage that everyone's seen online at the Master Burger, or everyone's seen online that TMZ released, and then they're saying that they have a camera at the Master Burger. But they are saying the footage is from inside the store. So now Cary Lathan is called in for his testimony. He says he was standing directly in front of E while Eric Holder approached from his left side, coming from basically the Master Burger area. He heard "you're through" and turned to his left, but he was already hit. He described the patterns of the shots like 1, 2, 3, and then it stopped. And then he said again 1, 2, 3, and then it stopped. And the last time Cary thought the guy was coming to finish him off, but he didn't. Cary said Hustle didn't say anything during the incident. He didn't say anything, he was very quiet, but he did yell out a name when it was all over. When someone asked him who did this to you, he screamed out a name. They show Cary in the video that starts around 1:01 p.m. So they're showing the picture of Hustle taking a picture with a little child. I'm sure you guys seen that online. This is his official last picture, because Cary said when he got there, he was only there for 2 minutes, and then everything started to happen. Now into the room, John Jameson, the detective supervisor, and they start talking about him and his partner recovering footage from the Shell gas station. They recovered an hour and a half worth of the video. The Shell gas station has 3 different camera angles. They are labeled cameras 5, 6, and 21. Camera 6 is 67 minutes slow, like I was telling you guys. This camera is indeed to capture the exit of the Shell gas station car wash, but picks up a good portion of the parking lot, of the Marathon parking lot. Now they are talking about camera 5. This camera shows the alleyway leading up to 58th Ave and shows the Fatburger drive-thru. The camera 5 shows a man walking up and placing something on the hood of a white pickup truck, and he kept walking in that direction. They are also using this white styrofoam as evidence. So they replay the video and it shows a man running towards 58th Place past the Fatburger. Now they're talking about camera number 21. Keep in mind, all of these camera angles are from the Shell gas station. The camera that was shown on TMZ is pointed westernly in a direction that shows the entrance of the car wash at the Shell gas station, which separates the store from the location of the incident. Now witness number 6 enters, who is actually a peace officer. This is the officer who got the footage from inside the Master Burger. He looked and tried to get footage from 5 businesses to help the footage, but was unable to. Once that happened, he started to make his full focus on the Master Burger. Master Burger case. Master Burger only had 1 camera that was relevant to the case. The camera was located inside of the business and looked through a large glass window into the parking lot area. The camera only captured a little bit of the sidewalk and lived immediately in front of the business and a portion of the parking lot. Mr. Timmons is a show. They show a selection of the video who shows a man without a shirt on, gray pants, pulled below his waist, and white New Balance sneakers and a black bandana around his neck. So they show Holder when he get his food at the Master Burger around 3:12 p.m. and leaving the parking lot and coming back running around that alley at 3:18. They also pull footage from local homeowners on 58th Street. Now keep in mind, the Master Burger, it looks like their camera footage, or the time for their camera footage, is correct. Shell's gas station was wrong. So now this time they bring in witness number 1, the getaway driver. They bring her back on and they went over her history. She's 32 years old and has a bachelor's degree. She also says she doesn't know anything about gangs, and she doesn't know about Eric Holder or the business he was on. So now we fast forward to March 31st. She picked up Holder from his place around 1:30 p.m. The 2 plans were to get something to eat. So when he walked to the car, he had a bandana around his neck with his shirt off. This is what she first said. Now, what I find odd about this part is when she picked him up, she didn't see his tattoos on his stomach nor his chest. This is actually her first time seeing him with his shirt off. Now keep in mind, they're boyfriend and girlfriend. They're kicking it, they're boo, you know what I'm saying? They're doing this type of thing. Also, they didn't have a conversation about him not wearing a shirt either. We all know if someone gets in your car without a shirt, the first thing they're gonna ask is, where's your shirt at? Unless witness 1 was really afraid of Eric, and she basically was the girl who did everything he asked because she didn't want to see the consequences. Now a sentence later, she took his shirt off when he was inside the car, instead of having it off when he arrived. So they were supposed to go to In-N-Out and get some food, but the plans changed. According to the driver, he did stop when he seen a few friends around the Crenshaw or the Rolling Sixes area. I'm not from there, so I don't, you know what I'm saying, but she said near Lakewood. He got out of the car and walked towards the men to talk for a minute. Witness number 1 said Eric gave her directions on how to get to the Marathon store, which is 4 to 5 minutes away from where he's seen his friends, to stop out and talk. While turning into the plaza, she says, "Oh, there goes Nipsey, he's fine, I want to take a picture. But Eric didn't say anything at all. He didn't even say he knew Hustle at all. Eric goes on to order his food. He goes up to the group. She comes and takes a selfie, and she posted it on her Facebook and got back in her car. While getting the selfie, she heard basically Holder making it a point to tell Hustle that he didn't do anything wrong, and she says Hustle basically told him no. She said it was kind of like Nip was tired of answering the same question to Eric. After that, Eric Holder came back to witness number 1 and asked him for an extra $2 so that he can get all of his food. She gave him a $5 bill. He went in there and got his food and came back to the car. But he didn't want to sit in the parking lot, so they drove around towards the alley on 58th Street. So now he's loading up the shells. She told him she already knew what it was. She was like, "You're not doing a drive-by in my car." Actually, he ate his food and then he walked towards the alley with that same styrofoam. She says the white container he was eating out of the fries of, he placed it on top of a truck just like it was captured on the camera from the Shell gas station. Seconds after, he comes back telling her to drive and hurry up and that she asked too many questions. Tons of information came out about Ermos's body. They said his spine was severed, so that means if he would have survived that incident, he would have been paralyzed. Now keep in mind, all of this is for grand jury transcripts, it's public information. I will leave the link in my description. I think all you have to do is sign up for LA Times, so if you don't have an LA Times account, you have to sign up. I signed up for the trial because, you know, I'm frugal. Anyway, man, a lot of information is coming out and it's great to hear. I don't know what to believe, to be honest. I was watching videos last night. I don't know what to believe. So let's talk about this. Maybe you guys can give me some type of clarification down in the comments on what's really going on, what's not going on. Make sure you thumbs up this video. Let's get it to 10,000 likes. Of course, I don't get compensated for this, so a like would definitely be enough payment for me. I'm in the news with it. I'll catch you in the next one.